Alright guys, here we are. Let's bring in our baked texture and see how that works with our ground plane now. So let's make a new material here. And let's put it in the luminous channel for now. We don't want specular. And here's the texture that we baked. Let's go ahead and open that up. Click No. Click on it and go to the animation tab. And go ahead and push calculate. Put it on exact frame. And if you remember, we baked it out to the 0 to 225 frame range, so that's right. And actually, let's go ahead and just name this baked. And let's duplicate our ground. Let's make the one we just duplicated, or actually make the original one, we'll hide it, and we'll just put backup. Come to layer browser, hide those, and make a new layer here. Call it backup. Drag in the null object here, and turn off visibility, rendering, and shown in the material manager. Okay. And now let's delete the texture on the ground and the big texture tag. Drop the big texture on the ground. Do a quick render, see where we're at here. Okay, so from here it looks good. But let's see how it holds up while it's farther in the timeline. Seems to look okay. Let's push a render. Yeah, and there you go. And it looks like it's supposed to. So that's quite nice. One thing you can do is click on the texture and go to the editor tab and the texture preview. The default is pretty small, so let's make it 1K, and that'll just up the resolution in the viewport so you get a better idea of what we're getting here. Alright, well that looks nice. So honestly, that's pretty much the trick to do the effect, is to bake the texture. And now you can pretty much let your imagination run wild now that we have the texture baked. But next up, we are going to use the Explode plugin on this big texture. But let's go ahead and save this out. We're gonna just delete those ones and save it as 5. Okay. Come back to the ground here and go into my plugins and go to Explode. I believe Explode is somewhere around like $15, so it's not very much for what it does. It saves you quite a bit of time. I'll have a link for it, so you can go to the website and check it out. And there's another plugin too that does fracturing. I believe it's called Thesaurus, I think formerly known as Xbreaker. That one's free, so I'm sure that one would do the same. I'm just more familiar with Explode. But you do need thinking particles to use Explode. Alright, so the number of parts, I'm going to make it about 650. Alright, I think I'm going to up the parts to about 900. And I'm going to the content browser and add a concrete texture in here. I'll just grab this first one. And I'm going to drop the concrete texture onto the inside material here. And with the ground selected, I'm going to click Add. Now let's click the fracture object. Make sure the ground's still selected there. And let's go ahead and click Scatter. It's cutting our main object there. Okay, let's clear that and close the Explode dialog. And what the Explode did was put our original object in this null object called trash, just as a backup, and then you can see our fracture geometry from the Explode inside the fracture object, and it has the texture from our baked sequence, along with another texture on there, which is the concrete, and that will act as our inside material. So now what I want to do is actually duplicate this ground object in the trash. Delete the material from there, and come back to a layer browser and actually go ahead and put this trash object in the backup on the layer browser. And do the same for this ground piece. And let's rename this ground to just floor. And let's come into this right viewport here. Zoom out a bit and drag the floor under our fractured pieces. And basically this is going to catch our objects as they get broken up with the MoGraph dynamics tag on here. It's going to be a static object, so let's go ahead and add MoGraph tag Rigibaji. It'll automatically make that a static object since it's not under a cloner or a fractured object. And let's go ahead and do the same thing for the pieces. We can actually just control drag the rigid body tag onto the pieces, and that'll make it a MoGraph tag. And for the dynamics, we are actually going to make this trigger at velocity peak, so it reacts to a plane effector that we will animate. Let's come back to the perspective here, and I'm going to add a plane effector in here. Grab a plane effector. And now for the plane effector, I'm going to give it some fall off, and we'll make it spherical fall off. So there we go. And just want to double check something here. Just want to make sure that our floor is set up to catch everything here, so we might have to slide it over there. Right about there should work. Okay. And now back to the plane effector. Let's see, let's adjust I'm going to move this up so we have a little more room to see in here. There we go. And the fall off, I'm going to make it about 8%. Let's move our plane effector. Going to move it a little bit on the Z. And to the parameter tab, definitely don't want 100 on the Y. We might give it like a 6 for now. Give those a pretty low number like 2. And I might add a bit of rotation in here. Okay. Now let's come back to the plane effector with that selected. Let's drag that out of the camera view here and select or add a keyframe. Let's go to about frame 96 or 97, right around there, and drag the plane effector into view and kind of place it where you want it to finish. We'll have it finish about right there. Add a keyframe. Okay, let's come back to our view here and let's turn off the background in the viewport so we get a speedier reaction here in the viewport. Let's go ahead and push play and just kind of see what we have right now. So you can see that comes in and it's breaking up our ground. Let's do a quick render here. Okay. Push play again, let it finish out. And render again. Alright. It's looking pretty cool, and you can, of course, adjust all these parameters in here to get all kinds of different effects. Maybe we'll bring that Y down to 4, kind of see what that does, and drag the floor down just slightly. Right about there.